Shalom. It was just a few months ago that we met at the MOR, which was postponed until March because of Corona. At that time, while summarizing the year 2020, it felt like we had turned a corner. We had just finished our third major lockdown, and it seemed that we were done with Corona, at least in Israel, that life was returning to normal, and that we were entering a period of routine and stability. Little could we imagine that 2 months later, most of Israel and WIZO would once again be forced to shut down normal life. But this time, courtesy of Hamas, to protect ourselves from thousands of deadly rockets fired at Israel in 11 days of Operation Guardian of the Walls. More on that later. In any case, you will all forgive me if I am cautious about declaring business as usual in Israel. There is never really business as usual. To quote Naomi Shemer, "En li rega dal," never a dull moment. When I spoke to you at the MOR, I emphasized that despite the ongoing Corona crisis through most of 2020 and into 2021, a crisis that dominated and colored every aspect of my first year as World WIZO Chairperson and of the new executive elected with me, we never gave into the temptation to stop everything and deal with the crisis only. Instead, we insisted on implementing profound organizational changes and on thinking and planning for the future. This movement forward, with our gaze fixed firmly on the future, has continued and gained greater momentum. The Hamas rockets and every other obstacle be damned. So it is about this process of assessment, renewal, and growth that I would like to talk today. When I think about the major initiatives we're undertaking, my first thought was that they can be divided into two types, those that focus inward and those that focus outwards. But as I examine each one, I realized that this is a false dichotomy. WIZO is such a large organization and worldwide movement. We touch so many people. We are so entwined with Israeli society that even the initiatives that seem purely internal are never only that. For example, the major transformation we are doing in the area of information technology, the new ERP system. It goes without saying that no organization of our size can function effectively without modern IT capabilities. And this affects not only how we work and communicate in our projects and offices, but also how we interact with our tens of thousands of customers and partners, parents, government agencies, suppliers, and of course, with you. Another example is the focus we're putting on our most important resource, our volunteers and employees. We're investing efforts and resources in our volunteers at different levels, including an intensive high-level director's course that the World WIZO Executive is going through now. I deeply believe that WIZO will only be as strong as its leadership, and that leadership needs knowledge and expertise to do its job. We're focusing a great deal of attention and goodwill on the welfare of our employees and on the relationship between workers and management. I believe it would be fair to say that despite the very severe disruptions of the past year, including major downsizing, repeated lockdowns, and furloughs, the relationship between management and staff, led by a strong and devoted workers' union, is healthy, based on honest communication and trust. We know how hard our staff works and the sacrifices that they have had to make, and we are deeply grateful. Another area of urgent priority is our relationship with the government, which includes the national government and ministries, dozens of local municipalities, agencies, regulators, and more. I cannot emphasize enough how important this vast web of relationship is to WIZO, not only in terms of funding allocations, but in relation to regulatory issues, land, taxation, legislation, employment, and much more. To this end, we have recently hired an outstanding firm that specializes in government relations, and we have begun to work closely with them to advance our agenda in a number of key areas. Another initiative is organizing encounters with important national bodies, such as the Jewish Agency. With the help of President Esther Moore, who approached then Jewish Agency Chairman and now President of Israel, Bougie Herzog, we led a fascinating half-day Zoom conference in which 37 officials and staff of WIZO and the Jewish Agency discussed numerous issues of mutual interest aimed at identifying possible areas of cooperation. When we hold these encounters, when we introduce the outside world to WIZO, we are always struck by the amazement they show when they realize how big and diverse WIZO is. What a huge impact we have on Israeli society. The fact that so many Israelis, and I am not only talking about the average citizen, know so little of what we do, this in itself shows us how much work we have to do. Being known and recognized for the enormous, diverse, and outstanding work we do is not merely a matter of ego, of feeling good that the world knows what we do. You in the federations know this so well, and it is just as true here in Israel. If we want to raise money, attract volunteers and partnership, influence the public agenda, make ourselves indispensable to the government, we need to raise our public profile, present and promote ourselves better. In short, market ourselves much better than we have had in the past. Last year, at the height of the corona crisis, we launched a major assessment of our marketing efforts, our strategy, assets, practices, budgets, everything. This was done with a strong focus on digital, which has long been the dominant area in all areas of marketing. Effective digital marketing is a major challenge for an organization as large and diverse as WIZO, with hundreds of projects dispersed throughout the country, many led by volunteers. Think about it. Every WIZO center and second-hand clothing store, Bigudit, needs at least one social media platform. That's 50 different Facebooks or Instagrams account right there. And what about our schools, villages, daycare centers, special programs and initiatives? Each one is a unique project with its own marketing needs. Not to mention our marketing needs, your marketing needs, the needs of over 40 active federations, which themselves are very diverse. Effective digital marketing in a highly competitive national and international environment requires a large investment of resources, and WIZO cannot devote the resources that many of our competitors spend on marketing. So, as always, we will have to do a lot with a little, something we have always been good at. As the marketing assessment stage has been completed, we now move forward to rebuilding our capacity and efforts in this area. I believe that the first positive benefits will be felt very soon. The last initiative I would like to mention is actually the most important. As I mentioned at the MOR, we have undertaken a major long-term strategic assessment process in which we are examining every important aspect of our organization in Israel. This process, being led by an outstanding organizational consulting firm called Lotem, has advanced considerably. When we hired this company, we made it clear that we aim not only to study the organization and present us with findings and recommendations, but rather that the process itself would bring immediate benefit and generate positive change. This has indeed happened in a number of areas. The high point of the process so far was a conference called Future Search, held last month. For 2 full days in WIZO headquarters, over 100 people, half from WIZO leadership and half non-WIZO participants, from a broad spectrum of areas that touch on the work that WIZO does, we met to talk, to think, to argue, and to imagine the future of WIZO. Mira, our CEO, will talk to you more about this remarkable event. but I will just say that it was fascinating, enriching, thought-provoking, and very exciting. All these organizational processes required a tremendous level of focus, commitment, and hard work by a lot of people. So first, I would like to express my deep gratitude, respect, and appreciation for my fellow members of the World WIZO Executive who have not only enabled and supported these multiple initiatives, but have taken an active role in them. We have also had great help from other volunteers from different parts of the WIZO world. When the corona crisis exploded, no one knew how severe the pandemic would be, how long it would last, and how great the cost would be. The economic forecasts were very grim, even scary. Our very survival had become a real question. The financial report you're being asked to approve today is a reflection of the success of how we dealt with the crisis. The immediate, dramatic, and painful steps we took, the policies and practices we adopted, brought about results that we are very proud of. Our financial performance for 2020 is better than the original forecasts, and our deficit is lower than the previous year, 2019. This year is 23 million shekels as opposed to 35 million in 2019, a reduction of 34%. I need to emphasize that before we start breaking out the champagne, that we are far from being out of the woods. The crisis is far from over, and we will need to maintain our vigilance and discipline for years to come, probably always. The credit for this success goes to the entire organization. Everyone had a role to play in it. But special thanks and appreciation go to those that led this effort. Our treasurer, Gila Cohen, our CEO, Mira Mines, our CFO, Ronit Bargen, and the financial division she leads. Navigating our finances in a year like this took not only courage, leadership, dedication, and competence, but also endless hours of hard work by dozens of people. A special word about Mira, who is my partner in all these endeavors. When you look at the incredible impact she has had on the organization and the changes she has brought, it is very hard to believe that she has been with us for 1 year only. Together with Mira, our devoted and talented senior management team, and the 6,000 WIZO employees who are making all this happen day after day in pandemic, lockdown, austerity, and war. We're all so incredibly fortunate that these are the people that make WIZO work. And last but never least, it's you, the leaders of WIZO federations around the world, and together with you, thousands of Haverot. Last month, as our enemies again dragged us into conflict, as rockets exploded in the air above us, as millions of Israelis were forced to stay home and near their bomb shelters, you showed us again for the 1000th time how deep your love is for Israel and its people, and how profound is your devotion to WIZO. Your endless expressions of concern and love, and your efforts to help Israel and WIZO through advocacy, education, and fundraising proved once again the inspirational power of a united global movement of strong, passionate Zionist women. We are all WIZO women, and it is my joy, pride, and privilege to serve you and our great movement. Am Israel Chai. Thank you. Toda rabba, חברות שלי. Thank you very much.